Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Progressive Massachusetts 2025 Virtual Awards Night. My name is Dan Kusher. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the president of the board of directors for Progressive Mass. And I'm proud to be the president of the board of directors for Progressive Mass. I'm proud and honored to be in this movement with all of you. In this time of uncertainty and fear under a federal administration that's trying so hard to do harm to us, I'm proud to support not only the movement that is fighting back from the state level, but the movement to not go back to the way things were, to create something that is better than anything we've ever had before. Tonight, we'll be celebrating some of the amazing things that this movement has accomplished and recognizing some of the amazing leaders who have made those accomplishments possible. But before we get started, we have a few other people we need to thank. First, thank you to all of you, our grassroots donors. This work is not free, and your donation to Progressive Massachusetts is an investment in a more progressive Massachusetts. Our host committee deserves an extra thank you for their additional donations and fundraising efforts. These larger donations go a long way to supporting the work that we do. Thank you so much to everyone who stretched and gave an amount that was truly meaningful for you. Thank you to our organizational sponsors, Massachusetts Teachers Association, AFT Massachusetts, of which my wife is a member, Boston Teachers Union, UAW Region 9A COPE, Massachusetts AFL-CIO, CIO, and SEIU 1199. The fact that we have these strong unions who are proud to sponsor our fundraiser and attach their names to our work, to invest their members' hard-earned dues in our work, is a powerful indicator that we're doing the right things to build a better Commonwealth for working people. Lastly, speaking of working people, I want to thank our staff. Melanie O'Malley and Jonathan Cohn are the oil that keep the different parts of this machine moving smoothly. They do important work to enhance the capacity of this movement, and they do it very well. Thank you, John and Melanie. I'll now hand things over to Jonathan Cohn.
Thank you again to everybody for joining us tonight, spending your, I guess, cloudy evening with us. Again, my name is Jonathan Cohn. I'm the policy director here with Progressive Massachusetts. So again, thank you to everyone here for joining us tonight. If you're like me, you do a lot of doom scrolling, given the never-ending state of constitutional crisis, economic crisis, chaos, cruelty, corruption, white supremacy, misogyny. There's a long list of terrible things happening on the federal level. And so I, for one, I'm excited to be able to celebrate people tonight who have done great work, those fighting the good fight, who are uplifting and embodying the values we all share and want better reflected in our policies. And I hope you are too. If you know me, you know that I can be very critical of our state and our state legislature, but I am grateful to be in Massachusetts at a time like this, not because I think we've done everything that we need to in order to meet the moment, far, far from it, but because I believe we can. And that I believe that when they have clear information presented to them by trusted sources and neighbors and are able to cut through misinformation, most of our Commonwealth's residents will make the right choice most of the time. But it's our work to make the case and to organize for it and to make sure our elected officials hear it. That organizing is key. I always speak of Progressive Mass, which now started almost 14 years ago, as having two animating realizations. First, that many of us will see some of the same people campaign to campaign, but we need structures to exist in between. That infrastructure not only helps us avoid having to kind of bring the band back together every time, but also creates the ability to build, to deepen, to strengthen, to grow, to prepare for and engage in the next campaigns, because there are many, to foster community, and similarly, that people know best how to organize in their own community, but that they can do that best when connected with other people in other communities who also know best how to organize in their communities, and a shared framework, shared knowledge, and shared resources to empower all. The second is the importance of work at the state level. Our eyes don't always go to the state level, given the media saturation of the national level and the immediacy of the local level. But so much important policy work happens at the state level. And in a moment like the current one, we need that more than ever. We need states like Massachusetts to lead, to protect our Commonwealth's people and progress from the threats of the current federal administration, and to also build on that progress for those people. We need to take steps to protect our immigrant communities, to strengthen our privacy rights, and to shore up our essential services, And we also need to acknowledge that what we are doing is not enough at all. We need to show what it looks like when we can build an economy that truly works for all, and for that all to actually mean all, when we make our high quality of life accessible and affordable for everyone, when everyone has the resources they need to survive, to thrive, and to participate fully. And we need to show that progressive policies work, to fight for wins, to celebrate them, and to build upon them in ways that build engagement and build trust. In a time when the national picture is so bleak, it is people like all of you here and especially and our awardees that give me hope. People who are willing to put in the work, the sweat equity to fight for equity. I've been inspired by how many new people have been activated over the past year, whether first-time activists or long-time activists recharged and ready for the next fight. We'll need all of you and more. And having been involved in many campaigns over the years, I often think about what makes them worthwhile. Winning certainly does, but you don't always win. But every campaign, you meet new people, people who will be friends, allies, comrades, partners for the next campaign, people with whom you can brainstorm, strategize, organize, build. And every campaign, you will meet people for whom that campaign is their first. And that means so much potential lies ahead. And that growth, and that organizing and mobilizing is what makes those wins possible. So we're excited to work with all of you in the year ahead. And before we get to our awardees, I wanted to get people thinking about all of the work that they've already done in the first 4 months of the year, and to be a little bit interactive because you'll be sitting for a lot. So I'm going to have people answer a few questions before I hand it over to our next speakers. So these are all raise your hands things, which you can either physically raise your hand, use the hand raise function, or do whatever you care to. So raise your hand if you've already attended a rally this year. I expect to see lots of hands on that. Raise your hand if you've organized a rally this year. Raise your hand if you've already called or emailed your state legislators, and probably multiple times. And then kind of raise your hand if you've met with your state legislators already this year. Continuing to see lots of hands. Raise your hand if you've met someone new through the activism that you've done this year. Raise your hand if you think that you'll meet even new people because of the activism that you'll be doing in the 8 months to come in 2025. So like raise your hand if you're ready to fight for victories this year across a range of policy areas. So hands. And my last one, raise your hand if you're ready to have a fun and inspiring evening celebrating our honorees this evening. Okay, so my speaking part is done. Thank you again to everyone for being here. I'm going to bring on our next folks up. We'll be bringing on 2 of our board members, Meg Wheeler and Nika Elugardo, to do a little bit of opening hype. So let me bring you both on spotlight. Nika and Meg, take it away.
Hey, I'm Nika.
I'm Meg.
And we're here just to give you a little bit of a foretaste of what's coming, because it is a fundraiser, but it's also a fundraiser, which isn't just a catchphrase. It's also about the power that we're trying to build here. And so we're going to start out with giving a couple of sentences that we'd love you to put in a sentence or phrase why you're excited or encouraged, or in my case, proud of Progressive Mass. Because we're going to be asking you for a challenge a little bit later on today. And as a hint, here's a hint for my challenge. I'm going to double the sacrificial gift that I made earlier. It's been a good month. And so as soon as I get off of this little segment, I'm going to go on the link that they're going to drop in there for us, and I'm going to match what I did last time. Now, everybody just going to do something different. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, get your thinking caps on. What are you excited, proud, whatever about? For me, I joined the board just a couple of months ago. And what I was most excited about is the authenticity of self-owning. And so I'm going to drop that in the chat, because when I said there's so many things that we need to do better, especially around inclusion, of folks who are leading in communities that are struggling. And they were like, we want to be on that, we're on that, and we're ready to change. And here's some of the things we've got planned. So we'll talk a little bit about that today and more throughout the year, but that's what I'm proud about. Meg, what about you?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Thank you so much for everyone for being here tonight. And when I joined the board, I think 4 years ago now, it was right before, I believe, our first gala that we did in this format. And I remember then we hit an incredible fundraising goal. And I had no idea at the time how important and critical that was going to be to this organization, and how critical the work this organization does is to the state and frankly nationally as well. And so I'm just so incredibly proud to be able to serve on the board of this organization and to be in community with all of you, because when I look around in this Zoom or in a physical space or at a rally or a protest, this is the country and the state that I'm proud of, is the space that we all share together and the work that we're all doing together. So I'm super pumped for tonight. I wish we didn't have to do this work, but we know the work is always going to be there. And so I'm so glad to be doing it with all of you.
So drop yours in the chat, guys. Just want to give a shout out to the awardees today. We're going to hear a lot more very soon. And a special shout out to the staff, because they're the reason why we're doing so well tonight and why we're going to be doing so well for the rest of the year at continuing to build this coalition. Now, there's 3 things you can do during, besides sort of participate. So yeah, you can drop some more money in that link if you want, but you could also just, if you're good at multitasking, send that link out to somebody by a text and say, hop on. They can get a ticket for any amount, $5 or more. And so have people hop on, help us build this coalition even more. Or you can, so 3 things: give, invite somebody to hop on right now, drop something in the link, or drop something in the chat, or you can do all 3, right? You can do all 3. So we'll see you a little bit later. Meg, close us out.
Sorry for my dogs. My dogs are so excited. They're here as well. And we've got a lot of pets on today. And hopefully those pets are going to be a really strong part of our progressive mass movement. But remember the 3 things, we're going to put them in the chat. And I will tell you right now, my challenge, and this is a reminder to everybody, is you can also be a recurring donor to progressive mass. So I am already a regular monthly donor. I'm going to up that amount so that we can raise even more throughout the year.
See you in a second. Hey, I'm back. I have a real honor right now to introduce our first awardees, the African American Coalition Committee. Now, we're honoring them today for their work in the criminal justice reform space, but they've done other progressive policy work, and they've been empowering incarcerated activists, not only to understand how to do policy advocacy, but to be true leaders in it. They're a prison-based group in Massachusetts in the state system, and they've been fighting to reform the criminal legal system since 1972, which is 1 year before I was even on this planet. And in the last session specifically, they worked with legislators to ensure that individuals behind the wall had the ability to testify at the State House. They worked with legislators and advocacy coalitions advancing criminal legal reforms. And they also did critical civic engagement around the right to vote. That's just in 1 year. In the years that we've worked together, they've drafted legislation. Some of that legislation has been passed. And lots of funding has gone into the work of building the power of currently and formerly incarcerated folks because of the work that they've done. And we really want to amplify their work, not only today, but throughout the legislative season. It's my great honor to introduce a good friend of mine, Jamal Spencer, who is a member of AACC, formerly incarcerated. He's going to receive the award from them. And there aren't too many people I love more than Jamal. It's so good to see you, my friend.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing, Nika? Hello?
I'm great.
Can y'all hear me well?
You're good. Go for it.
All right. So, first and foremost, I thank everyone for being here. Thank you for having me here as well. It's an honor. This space, for me, I don't take lightly, especially coming from where I came from, but also what I'm out here, striving to accomplish every day. And at every waking call, I do my best to bring the men who are still behind the wall with me every day in my everyday journey, because to me, I represent them and they represented me, and we both and all have done that very well. So I'll say how it started. The organization that Nika just spoke about, the AACC, hopefully all y'all know about it. If not, I'll give you a synopsis real quick. It started as a Black rights organization. An older brother named Denny Zulu started the organization along with another brother who's here out now named Sabri. It was fighting for so much that was going on behind the wall, just in the name of humanity, because we're often, like, it's being subjects, if you will, by inmate, con, whatever word you want to choose to place on somebody label-wise, other than their natural state, which is being a human being. Although I know we've committed acts, right, that are less than. And at first, I used to be someone who, like, shift the blame and all that. And then when I got with a lot of these older men inside who were pretty much seeing their sons and everyone else under the umbrella of that male manhood figure wrong the community in so many ways, they, once we came inside, gave us historically what we need to be doing and how we need to be moving forward to get out and stay out. With that said, an older brother, Zulu, passed the torch to Ricky Fuquan McGee. I'm not saying that Zulu's not my, but Fuquan brought together many people that really no one else could have really have done like that. And then he appointed me as far as outreach and an event coordinator at AACC. And then we took people from all over Massachusetts, not just Boston where we're from, but we went all over because we wouldn't have been able to succeed without everyone involved. So anyone who has some type of say or sway and people respected that, we had to gather that. We also formed called Know Your Smoke, which was also part of Fuquan's, his vision. And under that vision, we didn't have to get along. It's the cause that we had to get with. So if the cause resonated with you, your personality really means nothing to me. I don't really deal with reference or that type of thing. I deal with what you're talking about and how you're talking about moving out and what's going to overall affect everyone. That's what the AACC bottom line represented. If you was from Cambridge, Lowell, Lawrence, I don't care. If you represented that, we was going to start with as a nucleus and we spread out. People had to learn law. We had people who knew law, people who knew how to write, and then we had Nika come in, and Nika taught us civic engagement. At first, I'm like, I don't deal with no politics, and I don't do all that. I don't do politics. But being a civically engaged in a community stakeholder, see, this wasn't even a language I was using before. I mean, we wasn't doing all that. We were just saying, okay, we're going to be bullheaded. We're going to go on this train track and we're going to run at this train. We don't care. Some of us are going to get Swiss cheese up. But you can't take on all of us. So that was the mentality. It was almost like we're saying it was warlike, because to me, you are in a constant war when you're dealing with things that are trying to impose on your life, so to speak, to take away any semblance of your identity, your ethnic background, whatever it may be, or their lack of. So how we identify ourselves now, we use like the pronouns, stuff like that, just so we can solidify who we are. Those are things that it was seeking to take away. And I'm gonna call you an inmate. I'm gonna call you a con. I'm gonna call you less than who you are. So we was like, no, we're not going for that. That's who we were. So in coming today and being before all of you, and y'all even saying we're gonna have an award of any magnitude to recognize the AACC and the work that we're still doing. And I'm saying, when I say we, I'm still in touch with those men, even though I'm not supposed to be in touch with them, but because I have friends like Nick and all them, people don't really bother me. They let me do what I do. So with that said, we are honored. Those men I know can't wait to hear about what's taking place right now as we speak. It's news and information like this that it makes them strive even harder to come on out here. So that's why I know that my path has to be a straight and narrow, but it's not afraid to be warlike, especially for when it's a good cause. And then I can't really be messed with once I know I'm doing the right thing. If it's breaking the law, I don't know what that is. It's an injustice, so we can really change law, but we can do that by the pen, by the power of the people. That's the stuff I believe in. That's what AACC taught me, as someone who came from the streets and ran the streets. Right now, my thing is to see if I can clean the streets. I started working in the Department of Youth Services. People, I'm telling you right now, you have no clue as to how these children are thinking until you really get to hear them, and they have no filters. So with that, that's also clicked me in another gear in which I report that back to my men inside, because I'm saying these are your sons, your little brothers that are missing us so much, and they're missing you. So come out here and do the right thing. And this award to me, when they see that, it's going to heighten that awareness that what they really need to be doing. And I thank all of you. I don't want to keep going on because I can go on because I'm so ecstatic about right now and where we've come from. And then the recognition that we've gained and garnered, but it wasn't just for recognition. It's to rectify things that are rightfully wrong. So that's where the AACC, the premise we come from. But they'll tell you out here, if you're not initiated, all these guys are doing A, B, C, and D. But because there's no cameras and no audios, you're going to take them on who's reporting to you first. But when we say, listen here, we're not rioting, we're protesting. Just like how they protest out here, they'll say, no, they're rioting. And it'll justify. But we're just saying the injustices that go on inside are just a microcosm to the expanse of what's going on out here in society. So just keep that in mind, people. I appreciate you so much. And once again, thank you for this award.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Melanie O'Malley. I am the Outreach and Operations Director with Progressive Massachusetts. It's an honor to be here with all of you tonight, and it is an honor to introduce Emily to you. Hi, Emily. There is no such thing as freedom without bodily autonomy. Full reproductive rights and freedom are essential to the dignity, health, and well-being of all of our residents. In a nation as rich as ours, maternal health outcomes should be among the best in the world. But this hasn't been the case. Even before Dobbs, the United States has had maternal mortality rates nearly double that of other high-income countries. And unfortunately, it is becoming a more dangerous place to be pregnant and give birth in our country. While things are better in Massachusetts than in many states across the country, the reality is that maternal health outcomes don't match our wealth or our values. Not by a long shot. In the years between 2011 and 2020, now I'm going to stop for a second because I know this statistics and numbers people sometimes pull away, but listen to this, please. In the years between 2011 and 2020, severe maternal morbidity rates nearly doubled in Massachusetts. In 2020, severe maternal morbidity rates were 2.5 times higher for Black mothers and birthing parents than for whites, a gap that has grown, that had grown 25% in those 9 years. Bringing a child into the world is one of the most wonderful and exciting times in a person's life. It is one of the most frightening as well. We should all go into this experience with the same predicted positive outcomes for ourselves and our loved ones. We should also go into this experience and the early months with all of the options and the support that we need. Thanks to the hard work, dedication, and persistence of Emily Anesta, co-founder and head of the Bay State Birth Coalition, the odds for everyone got better with the passage of a landmark maternal health bill last August. While we'd like to believe that a bill that speaks to a great need, is well-crafted and supported by stakeholders, would result in unanimous support among our representatives at first pass, unfortunately, we know that this is not true. That's not how things work on Beacon Hill. It is a testament to Emily's leadership that the bill got unanimous support, especially given the lack of movement in the legislature last session. Emily Anesta is a passionate advocate for maternal health and justice, especially access to midwifery care. She co-founded and leads the Bay State Birth Coalition, organizing statewide advocacy for legislation to expand access to midwives and community birth options, such as birth centers and home births. After years of advocacy, this effort culminated in the passage of the Momnibus bill. This bill advances many of the recommendations of the statewide Commission on Racial Inequities and Maternal Health, bringing us closer to eliminating structural racism and achieving healthy outcomes for everyone. With this new law in place, more families will have access to the option of receiving care from a midwife, of a home birth or a birth center in their community. Bay State Birth Coalition's model of advocacy is based on grassroots organizing and coalition building, themes tonight, convening over 24 organizations and engaging thousands of birthing families and supporters across the state to share the message, midwives save lives. Emily birthed 2 of her children at home, attended by midwives, and was herself born at home with a midwife. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Melanie, for that introduction. I'm quite overwhelmed seeing, 100 of you on this Zoom, and I'm really incredibly moved to receive this honor from Progressive Mass, an organization with clear values, effective organizing, and relentless energy. My very first time at the State House was also my last day of maternity leave with my second child, and I had wonderful birth experiences with my 2 home births with midwives, and but I was becoming more aware of the traumas and the poor standard of care that most people were receiving. And I called my midwife and said, what can I do to help to make a difference so that more people could have access to this kind of care? And she said, well, we have a hearing coming up, so come to the State House and talk about your care. And so I brought my baby to the State House, and she sat on my lap while I testified in front of the Public Health Committee about a bill, which is the same bill that we just passed, and that child just turned 12. So here we are. I had no idea that first trip to the State House would become one of many, and really set me on this journey in advocating for laws to give birthing people and families the care they deserve. Melanie did a great job kind of explaining, the work that I do. Everyone deserves care that's safe, that's holistic, that's free from racism and mistreatment, that supports our autonomy, that respects the knowledge that we have about our own bodies and our dreams and our fears and our histories and our families, and that protects the sanctity of the experience of bringing new life into the world, and also holds people through both joy and grief. I can't believe it's been almost 12 years. It's been 12 years since I first stepped into the State House, and almost 9 since I co-founded the Bay State Birth Coalition. And this collective victory last year, it was really collective. There were so many people who were part of it, who participated, who did the work before I ever got here, and who guided me and supported me as well. When I first started advocating on this issue, I was told it was a niche issue, midwives. No, but it doesn't really affect that many people, and it's not going to be impactful enough for the legislature to choose to take it up. And what really changed in the movement was when we were able to connect the idea of having a midwife and having a choice about the type of care that we receive to the larger birth justice movement, that it's not just about where we give birth, but it's about gender equity, racial justice, our health, our bodily autonomy, our reproductive justice, and our human rights. And I want to acknowledge all the people that helped me sustain this work. It's not easy to come back year after year, session after session, when your bill gets killed in whatever way, when it doesn't get taken up, when it's sent to study, when it's passed by the Senate, but not brought to the floor of the House. And it's really hard to keep going. And I was only able to sustain, the role that I played in the work because of the support and encouragement of others. Certainly my husband, very much. My daughters who inspire me and whose birth set me on this path. My mother who taught me that birth is a normal human experience and not something to be feared. The Bay State Birth Coalition Board, midwives and advocates past and present, and all the feminist activists who guided me and advised me and lent me a shoulder to cry on through the ups and downs. Speaking up counts. Working together in coalition and solidarity is how we build power and make change. So thank you, Progressive Mass, and all the activists who are here and who are not here, for all the ways in which you show up, take an action, lend solidarity, and support each other, because every bit of that is so valuable and means so much to our collective progress. Thank you.
And I'm muted here. Hello, Tanya. So great to see you. And so good evening, everyone. On behalf of Progressive Massachusetts, it is with great honor that I join you tonight as a board member to introduce a truly remarkable leader and tonight's awardee, Tanya Neslusan. Tanya's journey is one of courage, conviction, and commitment to justice. She currently serves as the executive director of MassEquality in Massachusetts, leading the statewide LGBT advocacy.
I'll turn it down.
Francia, sorry, I think you got muted.
How much did I say? Sorry. Want me to start over again? I was in mood.
I think just for about a minute, like a minute there.
Wonderful. Thank you. I just was saying how wonderful you are, Tanya, and how much you really have moved justice, inclusion, and equity across the Commonwealth, and that your leadership is not just with MassEquality, just stand beyond one organization. You are also commissioner on the Massachusetts Commission on LGBTQ Youth, the Massachusetts Commission on LGBTQ Aging, and the Special Commission on Accompanying the Homeless Youth. You have been a founding member of the Boston Pride for the People, a leader with showing up for racial justice in Worcester, and an active member of the Massachusetts Women of Color Coalition. Tanya has held leadership roles throughout Democratic organizing efforts across the state. And in 2018, she ran for the state representative, stepping up to bring her community's voice to Beacon Hill. So what makes Tanya leadership so powerful is not just what she does, but how she does it. Actually, Tanya, I think I was talking with you one day, and one morning you were in Boston, and in the afternoon you were in my backyard in Western Massachusetts, marching with Pride. So you're really, truly remarkable. You are one of the most grounded, fearless, and genuine organizers that I know. You have bring people together, and you really listened, and you keep pushing for change with both integrity and heart. At this time where the LGBTQ rights, especially for transgender people, are under relentless attack across the country. So you are always heading ahead and reminding us that we cannot be complacent here in Massachusetts, that we need to keep moving and supporting and protecting the LGBTQ rights across the state. So, you lead with purpose, with compassion, with an unshakable belief in the power of community. I have seen that firsthand. And we couldn't be here more proud to choose a more deserving honoree. So please, everybody, join us in celebrating Tanya, our 2025 Progressive Leadership Award recipient. Tanya, thank you for all what you do. Congratulations. And without further ado, I want to pass the floor to you now.
Thank you so much, Francia. I have to say, as an aside before I get started, I am so glad that you were introducing me, Francia. We do not get a chance to talk as often as we should, and we always say we are going to, and then we both get busy. So it's good to see your face. So MassEquality, we do LGBTQ advocacy all across the state, not only at the state house, but we've actually been doing a lot of work in city halls and town halls and school committees, and really working with the people to educate them, as well as working with local municipal governments when we've seen organizing by either people who are misinformed or in some cases organized hate groups. This is work. Our community's work, however, doesn't extend at the things that you see LGBT on. We are Black, brown immigrants. We are, economically challenged members of labor organizations. Our issues are everyone's issues. We have to advocate on behalf of people with things regarding housing, with, things regarding, educational opportunities, access to government services, veterans across the board. So everyone in the progressive movement, I consider to be a partner, and I am honored to work with all of you. So many of you on this call, I have worked with in different capacities, and some of you I have, I really feel blessed to count as mentors in my work. I am also very grateful to my family because honestly, when I made the transition, because for those of you who know my background, I actually came from doing this by night while working a corporate job by day. And at one point I was speaking to a close friend of mine, and I was contemplating leaving my corporate J job and going into nonprofit. And she said to me, and she's on the call tonight, Tanya, you're not going to go home at the end of the day and feel like you've solved all of the world's problems. You're just going to uncover new ones. And if you want to, do the advocacy at night and, continue to make enough money that you can donate to causes, then that's okay too. But honestly, my son was at that time, in his going into his teen years, and I had to really look him in the eye and tell him to be who he needed to be and to go boldly into the world. And I knew that I needed to do this full time. And we all need all hands on deck right now. We're living in a time that requires unshakable solidarity. It's not just defending trans rights. It's not just defending, the rights of one marginalized community. It's all of us. And we do it together for all of us, with all of us. And to Progressive Mass, thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring me tonight. And also, thank you so much for the work that you do every day. Because, again, my organization is very small. We cannot be all of doing all of the things. So, knowing that we have partners in the work that we can poke at about different issues that you're working on, and we can tag team off of each other, it is such a blessing. And it is the only way we're going to move forward, is if we move together. And Progressive Mass, your leadership is, unparalleled in Massachusetts for keeping us all together and on the right track. So thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, I'm unmuted. Since we didn't do like formal built-in applause, but we had 3 amazing speeches for our first 3 awardees, I want to like formally block off time here for us to do rounds of applause for each before I kind of hand over the mic again. So I want people to give a round of Zoom applause to Jamal Spencer and the AACC. And applause. Another round of applause for Emily Anesta and the amazing work of the Bay State Birth Coalition. And another round of applause for Tanya Neslusan on the amazing work at MassEquality. I'll give another round of applause for all of you who are here in this event with us tonight, so you can applaud yourself too. I think it's been an inspiring and uplifting event. As we noted, that's what we need at a time like this, of all of the energy to keep fighting, the good fight. And so I'm gonna bring back on screen for a bit, kind of Meg and Nika.
Hey there again, everyone. Thanks, John, for pulling us back. I don't know about everybody here, but I'm excited. I'm feeling hopeful, which is not something I felt a lot in the last, I don't know, 90 something days. And so I just want to really honor that and thank our speakers and everyone here in the community for creating that energy, because as Tanya said, it's all hands on deck. We know we have to show up. We're already here doing the work, and sometimes it's really exhausting. So thank you so much for giving us the energy to get through that. As a reminder, my name is Meg Wheeler. I'm a member of the Progressive Mass Board, and I'm also the treasurer. And again, here with Nika as well, who's a fellow board member. And just a reminder, we put this in the chat a little bit ago, but we've got 3 tasks, 3 action items for you all. You can choose one, you can do them all. And they are this. Number 1, if you can, up the gift you've already made. If you haven't made a gift, please make a gift, match your gift, or consider becoming a sustaining donor, which means actually giving a monthly gift. That actually helps us a lot because it brings in money throughout the year, not just once a year when we do this big event. The second is to text as many people as you know and get them to hop on with us. We still have 1 or 2 more amazing awardees. Really excited to hear everybody else speak, and we'd love to have more people here with us. And then lastly, drop a word of encouragement to our incredible speakers, to our amazing staff, to your fellow Progressive Mass members, and just really support the energy that we've got in this group. And probably most importantly, congratulations and thank you so much to our awardees. The work that you do, your powerful networks, your unending energy, and Tanya said the quote, I want to go back to it. The unshakable solidarity. I think that was the perfect way to describe what all of our awardees are bringing to this event today, and bring every single day to this work, that unshakable solidarity, and know that we are here with you. We are sharing in that unshakable solidarity, and we're just really excited to continue doing this work with you all. And so I'm going to turn it back over to Nika.
Yeah, thanks so much for that reminder, Meg, of not just what we can do, but of the hope that we're inspiring each other. Me, as somebody, I'm here in Oklahoma helping to take care of my mother-in-law. I spent a whole day in the emergency room this week. We had a death in the family, my uncle. Everybody's going through a lot. Before you even add on what insane people are driving us through in politics, both in Massachusetts, but even federally more so, right? And so it's so important that we come together no matter where we are. This year's board elections in February, as a result of all of that, came with some big asks of the board. So we're releasing a new strategic plan this year to meet the moment that we're in as a Commonwealth and as a nation. We want to match and expand a more inclusive vision, with resources that help and grow our support to our staff, and also bring on folks like Jamal and others, like Emily, like Tanya, who are doing the work, and they can't always do that for free, right? And so we want to have a labor justice orientation to what we're doing too. And we don't want to ask our staff to do more without compensation. Some of you may not realize that we have 2 half-time staff. I didn't know that until I became a board member, because they do the work of 5 people. Right. And so we want to be just in how we operate. And that's what I mean about self-owns. And so what you're doing is you're not only creating this momentum for a movement, but you're really practically helping us to really appreciate the work that the staff has done. Now, it goes to show how effective the staff has been in accepting the board's challenge, that in January, right before the new board members came on and we had new elections, we had a goal of $45,000. Right. And we had to increase that because the staff heard our challenge. They really put that challenge out to you guys, and we sailed right past that. We sailed past 50,000, right? And so the board decided, based on the things we think are going to come out in the strategic plan, that we would like to up that ask to 60,000 for tonight. And we think we can do it with the number of people that we've got on. So we're asking you to do that. And it's a major testament to how much energy there is to get behind the solid work that the staff and the members have been doing. We've also got 27% more members than we had this time last year, right? And you become a member if you give a donation, but it's more than the money, it's about the movement. Meg?
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much for that. And, I'm so glad you talked about the growth of this organization because, and I know we've actually got some people here who were part of founding this organization from the very beginning. So they've really gotten to see the growth. But even in my 4 or so years, it is incredible to see how much our small but mighty staff have really done and how much our working board. I mean, we all have, full-time jobs and other obligations, with family and whatnot, and we're still here doing the work. And our incredible community, our chapter leaders, our members, our folks who are not part of chapters because they don't necessarily live in an area that has a chapter, but they're showing up every day doing this work. And the reality is there is so much we can do, but we need more money to do it, right? And I think when we're thinking about how terrifying it is right now in this day and age, and not a moment goes by that there's not something new we're hearing about that is just shaking us to our core. The state and local level has never been more important because the reality is there's so much we can do here to protect each other and to protect the people of Massachusetts and to spread the type of vision and world that we want in this country. In fact, I've been reading and emails and taking actions all day on some of the immigrant rights stuff and protections for folks who are here because all they wanted was a better, safer life. And there's so much work we can do here at that level. And a bunch of people put this in the chat, but it doesn't matter if it's only $1 or $5 or $10. This is not about feeling like you have to make a huge gift. It's about being a part of this work that we're doing and just continuing to help move us forward. Because as we build out that bigger strategic plan, we had this incredible chapter leaders retreat back in, what was that? December, January, I can't even remember at this point, but it was so amazing because we asked folks, what would you want to do? If we had unlimited resources of time and money, what would you want to do in 3 years and 5 years and whatnot? And the list was incredible. And it was so powerful when we looked at all of the things we could do if we had unlimited resources. And I'll tell you the good news, we don't have unlimited resources, but the things on the list are achievable. They're doable with just a little bit more. So every dollar you give today gets us there. It gets us closer to that goal. And we're just really excited to be able to be here tonight with you to support this work that we're doing and to start taking the next steps forward so that we can continue this incredible work and really make a difference here at Progressive Mass, because that's what we're all about. So I think we've put the link in the chat. Remember the 3 things. Number 1, if you can give more, if you can double, or maybe not double, but just even add a few extra dollars, or if you can sign on as a sustaining donor, meaning you're giving every single month, that is incredible. Number 2, if you can text your friends, everybody you know, get them on here tonight. Even if they can't come tonight, send them the link, ask if they can chip in $5 or $10. Every little bit adds up. And number 3, let's put some love in the chat because there's not a lot of love going on right now in the world. There's not a lot of joy out there in the news cycle. And I will tell you, there's a lot of joy in this room or this virtual room. And so I want to see that in the chat because I know I need it. I know y'all need it. And I'm just so grateful for you all for being here.
Hi, my name is Stella, and I get the honor of introducing our next 2 awardees. Core to being a progressive is to fight for the most vulnerable. We know how important it is because if we want a system to truly work for everyone, our systems must work for the most vulnerable. Bottom up, there's no trickle-down justice. And it is essential because if we believe that everyone deserves dignity and respect, then we believe that no one should fall through the cracks. Everyone is worth more than that. The work of our next honorees, Kelly Turley from the Massachusetts Coalition for the Homeless and Andrea Park from the Mass Law Reform Institute, have been so vital for that reason. Over the past few years, they have been the champions of protecting our state's right to shelter law and protecting the family shelter system. Homelessness in Massachusetts has been rising due to retrenchment of federal funds, the unsustainable growth of the cost of housing, and an influx of new arrivals seeking safety and security. So many of our elected officials have responded to this fear-mongering, demonization, and abandonment. But we know that the underlying principle of our right to shelter law that families and children should not be sleeping on the street is one worth defending. Kelly and Andrea have fought to protect that basic principle. They've been warriors against misinformation, disinformation, and indifference. They have been warriors against zero-sum visions of the world. They have been warriors against the expediency that exacerbates long-term problems. And they embody the fact that the best advocacy is data with a big heart. It is my honor to introduce them both. Kelly Turley has been an advocate with and for people experiencing homelessness and poverty since 1997. She joined the staff of the Massachusetts Coalition for the Homeless in 2002, where she served as the Associate Director since 2017. At the Coalition, Kelly convenes, collaborates with various stakeholders to develop public policy strategies to create access to homelessness prevention benefits, safety net resources, and affordable housing opportunities for families with children, unaccompanied youth, and adults throughout the Commonwealth. Her work focuses on expanding equity, dignity, and opportunity in state-funded housing and cash assistance programs, and on upholding the human right to housing. In addition to her housing and homelessness advocacy, Kelly is a longtime human rights activist, serving as the chair of the International Board of Directors for Students for a Free Tibet and a local group coordinator for Amnesty International USA. Andrea Park is the Director of Community-Driven Advocacy at the Massachusetts Law Reform Institute, working on housing and homelessness policy. She is a longtime legal aid attorney who has worked in the areas of eviction, foreclosure, bankruptcy, discrimination, and more. She works to support grassroots, base-building housing justice organizations as they build power and fight for safe, truly affordable homes for all. Andrea grew up in East Tennessee and is a lifelong musician. And I'll turn it over to Kelly and Andrea.
Thank you so much, Stella. And thank you so much to Progressive Mass and everyone here. And so many of you have been really key to the advocacy work to uphold the right to shelter, to not just ensure that families and children have access to shelter, but really the larger goal to make sure everyone has a safe and permanent place to call home. We know that we're a far way off from that goal at this point, but together we know that that's possible, because here in Massachusetts, we know the answers, and we actually do have the resources to make that a reality. And we need to build that political will and that political courage to do the right thing and to make sure that no one in our community is left to sleep in an airport, in a campground, in a car. And we are seeing, for the first time ever, more and more children and families who are experiencing homelessness in those places not meant for human habitation. And so the work this year and in the years ahead is going to be to make sure that we not only ensure the access to housing and resources, but also to undo some of the negative changes that have been put into place for the state's family shelter program over the past 2 years. So since 1983, Massachusetts has had a right to shelter for children and families. And starting in August 2023, there was a state of emergency established for access to shelter. And we've seen time limits on how long families can stay in shelter, a limit on how many families can be in shelter at a given time, and a narrowing of which families are so-called homeless enough or deserving to access shelter. And so the work now is to reverse those changes, but to make sure that families don't need to be in shelter for extended periods of time, that we're providing the housing, the homelessness prevention resources to help families avoid those situations. We know that Massachusetts has never had a right to shelter for unaccompanied adults, for folks with disabilities, for older adults, for unaccompanied youth. And so our work is to really expand access to those resources, to build on what we know has worked for 4 decades around children and families, and to reach that goal closer to housing justice. So I know we only have a few minutes here tonight, but we are really grateful for the partnership and the advocacy of so many of you here in resisting step by step as we've seen the right to shelter eroded, but also we've seen where that advocacy has already made an impact because even worse changes have been proposed. And we know in talking to state officials that they have a laundry list and they're going through it to implement restrictions on access to shelter. And by shining a light on what's happening, making sure that families with lived experience, that their voices are heard, making sure that there have been public hearings around changes to make sure that families have the opportunity in writing or in video or in person to give those testimonies, bringing families to the State House, making sure that community groups, in particular faith communities, are also been engaged. We're really grateful for the partnership of those of you here to make sure that it's not just a few organizations like Mass Law Reform Institute and the Coalition for the Homeless that are at the State House day in, day out, and in our communities, ensuring that we're upholding the right to shelter and that larger goal of making sure everyone has a safe place to call home. We said the work is challenging, and Andrea will talk a bit more about some of what we've been doing, and we know that it's going to get even more challenging given the Trump administration, but having partners and friends like all of you, we know that we can get through this because Massachusetts has been a leader and we can be a leader once again, and we can't accept what we hear oftentimes. Well, 49 other states don't have resources like this for folks experiencing homelessness. Like that can't be what our goal is, that we need to really build on that political will to do the right thing because we do have the answers, and we can't leave children, parents, and anyone staying in places not meant for human habitation without the basic resources to be healthy and happy. So thank you so much for being such great partners and for being on this journey to highlight the need to protect the right to shelter. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. And thank you all again. Definitely also so grateful for this. Those of you who know me know I'm not really an awards and speaking person like in a big group. So I'll be short. I'll try to be short. But really amazing to hear from the other awardees today. I am really in awe of the company that we're in, and glad that some of you can see that we're two different people. And I know Jonathan's passed us at our 4th floor State House office so many times. Probably was interested to see the two of us, I think, don't work at the same place and we're not the same person, and people see us coming and they know why we're there. So I think just like Kelly said, I think we really, one of the upsides of doing the shelter work, my background is not in shelter, but when I came to Mass Law Reform 8 years ago now, I started working on the system with Kelly and learned a lot about state advocacy from her and from a lot of people here as well who have been such great teachers for me. And I think it's just so important right now in this moment, as everyone before me has said, that we are really leading with our hearts and with love in this moment. And I think that this is the work that I get from this is the energy I get from the grassroots organizations that I work with. I know that I'm doing what I'm doing because this is what they're telling me that they need. And that has been my work as a lawyer, has been transformative when I started doing the work that way, but also now as a person, just really needing to remember that we are a lot more powerful all together. And I think, the work that we're doing, that Kelly and I do, it is state advocacy on a very specific thing, and it is hard to see sometimes the fruits of our labor, but I think more and more we have so many amazing partners who are recognizing and understanding that this is a housing justice movement at its core, which is really about building power. All of the things that we've talked about today, it starts with housing. You need a place to live, you need a place to be safe before you can access that healthcare and the food and the nutrition and, safe medical care for birthing people. Those are all things that we need to be working on together, but you have to be able to be somewhere. It is a basic human need. So I hope that others and all of you will keep working together on building that housing justice movement and really leading with our hearts. And I think knowing, just to go back to what Jamal had said, which really spoke to me, which is you don't have to worry about whether what you're doing is right or wrong when you're doing it for the right reason. And so I'm really excited to continue all this work with all of you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to bring myself back up on spotlight one. Let's do another round of applause for Kelly and Andrea for the amazing work that they do. And then I'm going to bring up our next set of awardees, some folks who are here from the Mass Power Forward Coalition. I'm going to spotlight all of you that I told to come here. So let me do that, and then I will introduce you all momentarily. Okay. I'm delighted to be able to introduce today Mass Power Forward Coalition. We have Claire Carr-Miller from UU Mass Action, Dan Zachin from 350 Mass, and Jess Nahigian from the Mass Sierra Club accepting. So the climate crisis is one of the defining moral, economic, and existential problems of our age. We see it all around us, with new records broken every year, and the horrifying images of the wreckage left by storms and wildfires. The case for acting is clear, but we all know that action never happens without organizing an effort. And Mass Power Forward knows this well. But before I praise their persistence, let me praise their grounding. The climate crisis is a result of the deeply unequal systems that we have today. If we are to get through it to another side, that other side must be a better society. A more equitable one, a more just one that does not reproduce the very problems that caused the snowballing crisis in the first place. One of the many things I admire about Mass Power Forward is that they understand this. They understand that our solutions to the climate crisis must advance a just transition that not only does right by the science and the data, but by the people, especially workers in marginalized communities. The outcomes are better, they are more sustainable, and the campaign to achieve them is more robust when we keep that grounding. Climate action must be climate justice action for it to be just and for it to be action. But also about persistence. Over the past few years, Mass Power Forward has had many well-run meetings. I admire the facilitation. They continue to build a big, beautiful, messy, wide-ranging coalition that covers almost every corner of the state. They had deliberative processes for agenda setting, and I also admire that process. But all of those are true at any point. What I wanted to highlight was they're making demands and sticking to them and getting more than people thought because of it. So often in politics, we are told to settle for the lowest common denominator, to not ask for more than is deemed likely or what our electeds want to do at a given moment. But during the fight for last year's climate bill, Mass Power Forward wasn't willing to settle and play that game. They were clear that any climate bill worth the name must be more than just a narrow citing reform bill of what the governor, House, and Senate seemed to largely agree upon at first. That a bill must include robust environmental justice protections so that the most polluted communities aren't becoming the sacrifice zones of any new energy infrastructure. And that a bill must include an end to the expansion of gas infrastructure. So that it may be easy to think that Massachusetts is a climate leader because we talk a good game, but we are still overwhelmingly reliant on fossil fuels as a state. Neither chamber met these demands up front, and when the clock struck midnight on July 31st, they didn't meet each other's demands either. The climate bill was one of many that looked dead for the session, full of pieces that might then rise from the ashes like a phoenix in the new legislative session. But Mass Power Forward continued to organize throughout the summer and fall to make their voice heard and to push beyond what both chambers had done. The final bill, as is so often the case, didn't meet all aspects of the moment. There are so many fights left to fight this year. But what it did do was more than was expected at the start of the summer. That it went further because people demanded more and didn't have qualms about doing so. So I'm excited for the fights to come this session and for those that come after, to win a Massachusetts-based and clean, green energy and one that is right by everyone in the Commonwealth, especially those who are often left out of any new industry or new initiative. The national climate for climate policy is rough, given the new administration, but I'm hopeful that we can make progress here in Massachusetts, and I'm hopeful because of folks like those at Mass Power Forward. So I'll hand over the mic for you in whatever order you feel like talking.
Thanks so much, Jonathan, and thanks so much for having all three of us. We are a coalition, and I want to just say there are a number of you who are on this call right here that are also part of that coalition and have been part of this fight. And so I hope you're also accepting this award in your heart as well, because it really took all of us to see the end result that we did last session. And so very briefly, Mass Power Forward, right, is a coalition of groups across the state, including environmental leaders, community leaders, clean energy businesses, faith groups, folks like Progressive Mass, right, and all fighting to power our our future with clean, healthy, affordable, reliable energy and a thriving economy. And the three of us are sort of the three people who help steer the planning team. And I just wanted to say that Progressive Mass is such a valued partner. I think it's really the glue that binds all of our causes and the really important causes that are being highlighted on this call and many more together. And I'm so impressed at all times of how many different issues Progressive Mass is able to keep track of and to consistently show up for each of them. And that was definitely true for the Mass Power Forward Coalition this past session. And we really, really appreciate that. So, when it comes to climate change, I echo what Jonathan just said, right? It's not just about the parts per million of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. It's about the actual people. It's about justice. It's about protecting communities from pollution. It's about having affordable energy, right? It's about making sure that we're resilient for the future. It's about, the $39 million flood that just happened in Leominster last year. And knowing that that is just a foreshadowing of what's to come. So a lot of fights ahead, but we're really excited to be in partnership with all of you. I'll pass it to Dan.
Thank you so much, Jess, and thank you so much, Progressive Mass, for all of your support throughout and for this award. I'm Dan. I'm the legislative manager with 350 Mass and a co-facilitator of Mass Power Forward with Carl and Jess. And I want to share with y'all a bit about what we're working on this session. We did a deep, messy consensus building project to get input from all of our various local and statewide groups that are part of the coalition. And what emerged from that was 3 priority campaigns. One, which has been a top ask of our environmental justice allies for years, to really focus in on air quality, which is one of the major determinants of lifespan and public health in communities across the state, and especially in environmental justice communities like Roxbury and Springfield. And so we're fighting for better indoor and outdoor air quality. We're also fighting to stop the expansion of the gas system and to make sure that utility profiteering is no longer able to influence our state legislature. I'm sure folks saw plenty of news on how much influence there was over the last session, and it needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. And then finally, we're looking to make the biggest oil and gas companies pay billions over the next 25 years for the costs of climate adaptation. So the projects that will keep our communities safe from floods and fire and worsened air quality and increased disease. And tonight, if you're feeling ready, you can take action on all 3. I'll put those links in the chat. You can take action from your home, from the streets, from your city councils. And first up, you can join the World Asthma Day rally from 4 to 6 p.m. on May 6th in East Boston. You can sign the petition to tell our governor to stop utility company profiteering and gas system expansion. And this is one where Progressive Mass is uniquely suited to help. You can pass a municipal resolution in support of the Make Polluters Pay campaign. And that one Progressive Mass has already been helping with. Whenever we need more advocates to help and we're not sure where the climate people are in a certain town, I text Jonathan and I'm like, where's the nearest Progressive Mass chapter? And without fail, always comes through. And then last, and of course not least, donate to Progressive Mass so they can keep doing the fantastic, fantastic work that has supported everything that we've done.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everyone. I'm Carl Claire, they, them from UU Mass Action. And I just want to bring us home by noticing the relationships and the people power. Mass Power Forward is 10 years old this year. And I think our work together as people who know and trust each other really showed this last session as the state legislature tried to grind us down, and we looked at each other and said, hell no, absolutely not. We're not going to settle. That is not okay. And, I think about the moments over the last 10 years where we have really exemplified that power building, but also the humanness, because organizing has its highs, but also has its hard moments. Not to, go on and on, but I think about the first call after shutdown and COVID, the first Mass Power Forward call. We literally just went around and said, "How are you?" That's the kind of coalition that Mass Power Forward is. It's both knowing that we are full humans who need to appreciate and celebrate and fundraise, just like we're doing on this call, as we're taking action to bring our full selves. And because at the core of our organizing work is those, person-to-person relationships. And I want to emphasize that I think of Progressive Mass, just looking around this room, and I see so many faces that I know, that you're an extended family for Mass Power Forward, that we do this all together. And so I really appreciate tonight's award and recognition as we continue, because there's still more justice to be won. So thank you very much.
Since I've been the one to manage the formal applause, so let's do a final round of applause for the folks at Mass Power Forward. Okay, and just let's do another round of applause for all of our amazing awardees this evening. Okay, and Meg, am I handing it over to you?
I think so. Nika and I are coming back.
Okay. And Andre, are you on now or on after?
We'll pass it off to Andre.
Sounds good. Okay.
So we really are grateful to everyone who's been on tonight and who participated, who couldn't come on tonight. And what you're doing and joining, as we've invited you to up this goal with us to 60,000. Meg's going to give us an update on how we've done in just a sec. But you're launching us into a season of planning, but action planning. We're getting equipped for more outreach to members as we collaboratively plan a butt-kicking year and 2026, both in terms of policy and advocacy. And that's action orientation, as we've discussed and heard from not only our champions, but from members in the chat. And you're also going to give us a sense of what's possible, frankly, with the strategic plan we're putting into place this summer. So thank you again. Great to see some of you. I haven't seen people in a while, and I'll hand it off to Megan to close us off and ask.
All right, so you may remember coming into this, we told you that our original goal for the event this year was $45,000, which would have been the most we'd ever raised at one of these events. We raised it to 50 coming into the event. We had already exceeded that when we started this event tonight. And so we said, we're going to 60. We think we can make 60. And 60K, by the way, is the most we would have ever raised in one of these events at one time. And it's game changing for us. So I just got an update from John. Thank you, John, by the way, for doing all of the math behind the scenes. I may be an accountant, but I can't do it that fast. We have now raised $59,075. So we are, I can do this math. We're $925 away from our $60,000 goal. I've been given permission by the board to keep you all here until we raise that $925. I can't really do that because it's Zoom. I wish I could. Yeah, nobody goes home until we get that $925. And remember, if you give a recurring monthly gift, that counts. So, if you give, sorry, excuse the screaming behind me, by the way, it's family dinner time. It's just normal. If you give, $10 a month, that's $120 right there. That gets us to that $975 goal. So I know we're going to make it tonight. I have no doubt about this. We've got 100+ people on this call, and we now have this incredible energy from all of our amazing speakers, our community, our staff, everyone who is out there doing this work. $975. Y'all, if we can get legislation passed through Massachusetts, we can raise $975. So I believe in us. The link is going in that chat. And I just want to say thank you once again for all of the work that you all have done, and to our incredible board, staff, and team that has been on tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to Andre as we watch those dollars come in, and we are going to hit that 60K.
Thank you, May. Thank you, Nika. Thank you, everyone. I'm Andre Green. I have the honor of being the Vice President of the Board of Directors for Progressive Mass. And, to bring it back to full circle, we all know we're in this weird place as a society. We're in a place where we know the status quo can't hold. We have a choice. We can either continue to see the nation slide, or we can build something better. I didn't grow up in Massachusetts. I grew up in Louisiana. And so Massachusetts to me has always been a promise. It has been the place for 250 years where we've decided what America could be. And in that vein, in that sense of what America could be, it has never been more important than now that we not only hold the line against the uncultured fascism, but we take what the problem of Massachusetts to build something better. And it is my honor to work with all of you to do that through Progressive Mass, to push Massachusetts to be the state we know it can and should be. And so while I'm waiting for the word from John that we've preached 60,000, I also want to talk about other ways in which you can help. If you are in a community that has a chapter of Progressive Mass and you're not a member of it, you should join it. If you're in a community that does not have a chapter of Progressive Mass, you should make one. I believe we got the word today of a new chapter. Franklin Meg, I forget what it is. Can you remind me?
I think County continue in the political revolution.
Sorry, yes, thank you.
Sure.
Franklin County out in Western Mass. I knew it was Franklin. I couldn't remember if it was the town of Franklin or the county of Franklin. So thank you. And so that's one way we know we can build the communities that will build a state that will lead the country the way we can go. If you just want to help with implementing this great new strategic plan, let us know. We need your money. We also need your talent. We need your time. And whatever you can give, we know we can do better. We know that together we will do better. And lastly, I just want to thank our awardees. If you noticed, we had people fighting for our incarcerated residents. We had people fighting for moms. We had people fighting for all of the rhetoric you may hear in the news about progressives picking niche issues. If you go through the list, we fight for everyone, and we fight for people where they are. And lastly, I want to thank my fellow board members for the late nights, the early mornings, the squeezing in meetings between all the other work we're doing to further the cause. I want to thank you all for coming to us on a Sunday evening where you could be anywhere doing anything to celebrate this moment. It's a weird moment we're in, but because of spaces like this, I know we're going to win, especially if we can get $223 more, people. There are 80 people on this chat. That's $4 a person. We can do this.
Andrea, can I tag in for a minute?
Please.
Something that I've been kind of thinking about is a lot of people, especially lately, are feeling like there's nothing that can be done, where people are feeling helpless, they're feeling powerless, and it's, if you're all by yourself, you're right, you are kind of powerless as one individual fighting against all the things that are happening. But we're not alone. We have this great multi-issue organization, Progressive Mass, that we are connected to all these single issue organizations. You heard from several of them tonight, and any issue that you're passionate about, we can connect you to the people working on that issue. That's, I think, the biggest value that we provide as one component of the larger progressive movement, is that we are a place where people can go to get connected to, if you're interested in two issues, you don't need to be connected to two separate groups with no, connection between them. Progressive Mass can connect you to those, and then you can be connected to this whole movement of progressive activists. So,
Dan, can I just jump in because you're talking about everything we can accomplish? Y'all, we just hit the goal. We've surpassed the 60K. Thank you so much. I was about to make everybody on this call give $2 just so we could get there, but we got there. So thank you everyone for that. And I think John is going to pop in with just some more action steps that we can all take, which is super exciting.
John, I'm sorry, I accidentally clicked your mute button.
Yeah, no worries. And sadly, I am loud, but not quite loud enough to talk over the mute button. But that can be a goal. I just wanted to highlight just 2 upcoming events where we'd love to see people join us. As I always like to say, 90% of politics is just showing up. A good share of the remaining 10% is showing up every other time. So the 2 things I wanted to pitch for getting to see you all again, if you are free, just about a month from now, we'll be having our annual lobby day at the State House. So come join us. As I like to say, your legislators are lonely and they want to hear from you. So that's going to be, that'll be Wednesday, May 28th. Dropping that chat and it'll be in the morning. We always have a great program, good energy, and showing up in person makes a real difference in that advocacy work. I also want to drop in, we've been doing a forum series about some of the work that we can be doing at the state level to push back against what's happening federally. And we have an upcoming forum on May 7th, where we'll be talking about some of the looming cuts to mass health and what we can do to protect healthcare. The title notes it's about protecting healthcare from the quote unquote broligarchy. We're happy that we already have former CMS Administrator Don Berwick as a speaker for us joining for that. So let me drop in the event link for that as well. We look forward to seeing you at both of those and at many more events to come throughout the year. And any
just
final
as a surprise, one of the board members I think got inspired by how we're just feeling about this rocket that we know is taking off. And she has this is Francia, a tariff-free exquisite Colombian coffee that she brought personally from the Andes recently for someone who donates $500 or $1,000 as of now. So if that happens, that coffee's yours. I'm sure that offer will stand.
Wait, I can help out with that. I've got an extra bag of coffee I brought back from Colombia that I can throw into our Colombia gift basket.
Get it now, because coffee's only going to get more expensive.
Right? Oh my goodness.
Well, we really just want to thank everyone. This is really inspiring and encouraging at a time where that's the fuel that we're running on. And it's a powerful fuel. So thank you guys. And who's closing us out? Andre, or are we just staying on? Because
I think that was my close, and then we kept going because we wanted to get that money. Do we have an updated number?
John's been talking, not doing math.
Yeah, I've been talking to her. I can disappear and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
give people one last
know
number.
What we did together tonight. Because we came in here just over 53,000. And we raised that goal to 60, thinking we might not do it tonight, but we're going to do it. And you've given us a different message about where we're at and the kind of momentum that we have, the message that we wanted to hear. So thank you.
Well, I'll also just say too, and I think this has been echoed a lot in the chat, but in these really, really stressful, horrific, chaotic times, it often really does feel like we're alone in all of this. And nights like tonight are such great reminders that we're not. So I encourage folks, especially those of you who don't have chapters in your area, look at who's here tonight. And if you know anybody, reach out to people. Like, don't reach out to us on the board. We're all here in this together. Zelda's asking, what are the dog's names? So the diaper wearing dog who is deaf and, on his way out of this world, is Mr. Sparkles, but he barks nonstop, so we've now called him Mr. Barkles. And he's not very sparkly at all. The other one, I don't know where she went. She's somewhere. Edie. The other one's Edie. But just remember, we're all here. Even Mr. Sparkles is here for you. We've got such an incredible, powerful community. I'm buying some time for John to do the math. He looks like he's got like a thinking cap on.
Close. Oh, there we go.
60,862.
Look at that. 60,862.